Alrighty. Let's get started. Let's get started, you guys. Okay. So we're starting the book of Judges. Oh, I put Joshua at the title. Whoops. We're starting the book of Judges, and like I had mentioned in the introduction video, it's going to be all over the place. We're covering a lot of different narratives all in one book, and it's also covering a very lengthy time span. So it might seem a little confusing trying to follow each story or each section, but I will do my best to keep us up to speed and in understanding of the events that are taking place. Something that will be simplified is that they do follow a reoccurring theme. It's just a lot of rise and decline, so we will learn about how that is structured essentially. So let's go ahead and start out with a quote. This quote is by Ludwig van Beethoven from 1770 to 1827, and it reads, "Mosesien es mosien," which translates to "must it be, it must be." And goodness gracious, here come the terrors. But this is from Epigraph to Sting Quartet in F minor, Opus 135. Let's go ahead and do it again just because it's so short and sweet. Mosesien es mosien. Must it be, it must be. So with this, we're asking a question and giving a prompt answer. Must it be, it must be. So I can relate this quote to the reading because there's something that was warned against again and again and again and again. Do not worship other gods. I had mentioned it fell on deaf ears eventually, right? The knowledge or the willpower had essentially died out. So we're asking this question, must it be that the people of Israel truly forgot or truly became rebellious? And it's saying here, it must be. It is just the natural cycle of things, right? At any time in life, it is almost impossible for a nation or a group of people to rule with steadfast commitment for so long. There's going to be a point of decline for any civilization, any nation. There's going to be a point of decline, and then they might come back up. What's happening? Air Force, be nice to her. Here he goes. He gets so wild this morning. He's in his mood. Air Force, leave her alone. Give me a second. Be nice to her. You guys are going to be locked in here. Yes. So fresh, these two. Come here, baby. You come here. See the fresh pet. This is the fresh pet. This is the fresh pet. Well, there's your entertainment for the morning. Anywho, yes, it must be. It must be that it's kind of inevitable that this happens. We wish that it wasn't. We wish, they could just stay true the entire time, no bad representation on their faith, right? But again, it's people are people, humans are humans, and what we learn throughout the Bible is they are entirely imperfect. So let us go ahead and start with chapter 1, verse 1. It reads, "After the death of Joshua, the Israelites asked the Lord, 'Who of us is to go up first to fight against the Canaanites?' The Lord answered, Judah shall go up. I have given the land into their hands. Now it enters here with the king of Canaan, which is Adoni-Bezek. And we don't really learn what happens in between, but this is where we start off. Adoni-Bezek fled, but they chased him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and big toes. Pause. We're going to go ahead and read further to see why, the barbarism. Then Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off have picked up the scraps under my table. Now God paid me back for what I did to them. They brought him to Jerusalem, and he died there. So they overtook the king of Canaan, who was actually a very nasty king, as we learned. We thought maybe that was a nasty, barbaric thing to do to him, to cut off his thumbs and big toes. But reading further, we learned that he was a king that did that to 70 other kings, and basically enslaved them and mutilated them. And if you Google Adoni-Bezek, it does show up as the main picture is the king who mutilated. So terrible. So essentially, he got pretty prompt, but maybe not soon enough, some karmic payback there. So yes, that was that. Then it says here, then the men of Judah went with the Simeonites, their fellow Israelites, and attacked the Canaanites living in Zephath. They totally destroyed the city. Therefore, it was called Homrah. But Manasseh did not drive out the people of Beth Shan, or Taanach, or Dor, or Ibleam, or Megiddo, with their surrounding settlements, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that land. The people served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua, and of the elders who outlived him, and who had seen all the great things the Lord had done for Israel. After that whole generation had been gathered to their ancestors, another generation grew up who knew neither the Lord nor what he had done for Israel. In his anger against Israel, the Lord gave them into the hands of raiders who plundered them. He sold them into the hands of their enemies all around, whom they were no longer able to resist. Then the Lord raised up judges who saved them out of the hands of these raiders. Yet they would not listen to their judges, but prostituted themselves to other gods and worshipped them. They quickly turned away from the ways of their ancestors, who had been obedient to the Lord's commands. The Israelites lived among the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. They took their daughters in marriage and gave their own daughters to their sons and served other gods. So really, this does set the scene in Judges about how the rest of the books are going to go, right? So we have a generation that died out and had forgotten, and it was a lot of them. I don't understand how the story cannot be passed down, but there was just a moment in time where nothing really overlapped, and those who grew up with the influence of the others, Canaanites, Hittites, all those people, those who grew up with the influence, I can imagine it being hard to do something completely out of the ordinary over time, right? Over time. And as we had talked about before, there were sections where they had driven out all the Canaanites and they destroyed everybody, but there was pretty much in every other tribe, there were still remnants of everybody else who was there, living there. And over time, things just became settled and peaceful, if you will, and people intermarried, and, traditions were forgotten. And it was like being an Israelite who worshipped this one lone God, right, was kind of a rarity, right? It was just not something that was normal. Nobody, was boasting about that after a certain time. And it just became a custom to go ahead and just follow the traditions of the land, which a lot of times was just like, household gods or, just other things, right? Other things that were more, sacred to an individual. I wish we can learn a little bit more about, the nature of these other gods and like why they were so prominent, but really it was just a lot to do with the people and their own ego, right? They want to serve a God that would also serve their own ego, which naturally is not really a good thing at the end of the day. But yeah, this is basically this sets the scene for what is going to come. It's going to be a lot of this, right? We're going to learn about heroes, and we're going to hear about heroes who are having a moment of remembrance for the ways of the past, and they try to correct the Israelites and bring them right, which a lot of the times it brings them good peace for a number of years, and then things will fall off again. Then somebody else will rise up, and things will fall off again. So it's going to be a roller coaster. That is what I'm trying to get at. It's going to be a roller coaster, but I hope you guys stay tuned. This is really all I have to say for today, and have a great rest of your morning. Bye-bye.